A black woman was kicked out of a luxury car showroom because she didn't look like she could afford anything. But the next day, when a Rolls-Royce pulled up out front, the person who stepped out didn't just silence the entire showroom. They changed the fate of the man who humiliated her. Eva Morgan walked into the car showroom, dressed simply, carrying a hospital folder in her hand. The showroom staff glanced up briefly before returning to their work. Chase Radford, the manager, stood next to a sports car, casually checking his phone. He noticed Eva approaching but didn't move or speak. Eva stopped by a sedan and looked at the price tag. Chase glanced at another salesman, rolled his eyes, and kept scrolling his phone. After a moment, Eva turned toward Chase. "Excuse me, how much is this one?" she asked plainly. Chase finally looked up, slipping his phone into his pocket. He sized her up quickly, arms folded, and then replied clearly for everyone nearby to hear. "We don't usually discuss prices with people who are just browsing," he said, "especially those who obviously can't buy anything." Eva looked at him without reacting. She didn't seem angry or embarrassed, just quietly calm. Neither spoke for a moment. Finally, Eva turned around, walked straight toward the exit, and pushed open the door. Chase watched her leave, suddenly unsure why her reaction bothered him. He shook his head and returned to his phone, trying to forget it. The next morning, the showroom buzzed with activity. Several customers moved around, inspecting luxury cars, while salespeople smiled, eager to close deals. Chase Radford stood near the central counter, boasting loudly to two colleagues about a major sale he'd just secured. "I told you," he said confidently, leaning back against the polished counter. "They never leave without signing when I'm involved." A few employees laughed softly. Chase grinned, clearly enjoying the attention. The showroom doors slid open, and Eva Morgan stepped inside. She wore similar simple clothing as the day before, and moved straight forward without hesitation. Instantly, conversations paused. Employees glanced briefly, recognizing her from yesterday. Chase noticed the sudden silence, turned slightly, and spotted Eva approaching. "You've got to be kidding," he muttered under his breath. He stood upright, quickly adjusting his tie, and took a step forward, directly blocking Eva's path. Chase offered a stiff smile, clearly forced. "You again?" he asked, raising an eyebrow. "Still browsing?" Eva stopped but didn't answer. Instead, she reached quietly into her purse, pulled out a neatly printed invitation, and placed it calmly on the countertop next to Chase. The other salespeople moved slightly closer, watching curiously. Chase picked up the card, scanning the printed text. His face tightened subtly as he read the details. An invitation to an exclusive charity gala, prominently featuring the name of the primary sponsor, Logan Morgan. Chase gave Eva an amused, dismissive glance and chuckled dryly, placing the card back down. "So," he began slowly, clearly wanting everyone around to hear him. "You're married to that Logan Morgan?" Eva said nothing, her eyes steady. Her silence seemed to irritate Chase slightly. "You know," Chase continued, leaning in slightly, his voice lowered but still audible to the surrounding crowd. "Marrying someone successful doesn't automatically mean you can afford luxury yourself." A few awkward murmurs rose from behind Chase. One younger salesperson shifted uncomfortably, averting his gaze. Chase ignored their reactions, clearly convinced of his control over the situation. Eva stood quietly, not showing anger or embarrassment, her calmness making Chase increasingly tense. After a moment, she looked directly at Chase, her voice quiet but firm. "Do you treat all potential customers this way, or just those who look like me?" Chase's smug expression faltered momentarily. He quickly recovered, smiling coldly. "I treat real customers with respect," he said clearly, "but browsers wasting my time don't get special treatment, regardless of who their husband might be." Eva didn't respond to his taunt. Instead, she slowly turned and looked around the showroom, taking in the expressions of the staff and customers, many of whom were now openly watching. Some appeared embarrassed, others intrigued. Eva turned back to Chase, calmly stepping closer. "You don't seem to understand," she said softly, just enough for Chase to hear clearly. "The only one losing here is you." Chase's eyes narrowed briefly before he chuckled again, louder this time, though less certain. "Oh, really?" he asked, glancing theatrically around the showroom. "I don't see how. We're doing just fine." Eva nodded slowly, almost sympathetically. For now. Chase's smile faded, replaced by a brief, flickering uncertainty. Eva took a step back, her eyes never leaving his face, and stood still, silently waiting. The tension built around them, showroom chatter becoming quiet murmurs. A few staff members shifted nervously, sensing something important was unfolding. Suddenly, outside, the distinctive smooth hum of a powerful engine cut through the quiet showroom. Heads turned toward the wide glass doors. Chase, momentarily distracted, looked past Eva toward the parking lot. A sleek, black Rolls-Royce pulled smoothly up to the curb in front of the showroom entrance, sunlight glinting sharply off its polished exterior. Chase's eyes widened slightly, curiosity briefly overtaking his arrogance. The driver's door opened slowly. From behind the wheel, a tall, impeccably dressed man stepped out, standing confidently next to the car. Chase stared silently, suddenly uneasy. Eva turned to watch as well, her expression unchanged. Everyone around her waited quietly, eyes shifting uncertainly between Eva, Chase, and the imposing figure outside. A tense silence filled the showroom, broken only by Chase's barely audible intake of breath. The man outside straightened his suit calmly and began walking steadily toward the showroom entrance, his gaze locked firmly on Chase through the large glass doors. Eva glanced back at Chase briefly, her calm expression revealing nothing, then stepped aside slightly, allowing the moment to unfold naturally. Chase stood frozen, waiting helplessly as the showroom doors began to slide open. Logan Morgan stepped into the showroom, moving directly toward Eva. He didn't glance at the luxurious cars or at anyone else around him. Chase Radford remained frozen in place, his earlier confidence drained from his expression. Chase cleared his throat awkwardly, stepping forward cautiously. "Sir, I apologize. We didn't realize who—" Logan raised a hand slightly, silencing Chase without even looking at him. Logan turned to Eva, his voice calm and clear, eyes focused only on hers. "Did he treat you with respect?" Logan asked quietly. Eva hesitated briefly, then gave a small nod. Her expression, however, contradicted her gesture, her gaze steady, but clearly troubled. Logan studied her face carefully, reading the subtle signs clearly. Logan turned slowly toward Chase, now meeting his gaze directly for the first time. Chase stood very still, shoulders stiff, visibly uncomfortable under Logan's stare. Logan's voice was even, but firm enough for the entire showroom to hear. "I came here today planning to order 12 vehicles for our charity event." 12 vehicles, Logan repeated deliberately, making sure everyone understood clearly. The salespeople glanced at one another, suddenly tense, understanding the gravity of Logan's words. Customers nearby stopped moving, quietly watching the scene unfold. "But," Logan continued slowly, "after what happened yesterday, I'm reconsidering which dealership deserves our business." Chase visibly paled, his face losing the arrogant confidence he'd held only moments before. His voice trembled slightly as he tried to respond, hands nervously clasped together. "Sir, please," Chase said, voice breaking slightly. "I assure you we didn't intend any disrespect." Logan raised his hand again, cutting him off sharply, still without looking directly at Chase. His quiet authority silenced the entire room. Respect isn't something you offer selectively, Logan said evenly. It's either given, or it's not. Your actions yesterday were clear enough. Chase swallowed nervously, eyes darting around the showroom. Colleagues now refused to meet his gaze. Some salespeople subtly distanced themselves, pretending to busy themselves with paperwork. Logan reached into his jacket and removed his phone, calmly scrolling through his contacts. The showroom fell utterly silent. Everyone's attention locked onto Logan's next move. "Wait, please, Mr. Morgan," Chase stammered, desperately trying to salvage the situation. "We value your business. This was clearly a misunderstanding." Logan glanced briefly at Chase, his expression remaining neutral, betraying neither anger nor sympathy. "There was no misunderstanding," Logan said simply, continuing to scroll calmly through his phone. "Your behavior spoke clearly enough." Eva stood quietly, her eyes briefly meeting Chase's. She didn't speak, letting the weight of the moment settle naturally into place. Customers watched silently, realizing something significant was unfolding. Several staff members shifted uncomfortably, fully aware of the consequences now looming over the dealership. Finally, Logan selected a number and placed the phone to his ear. Everyone in the showroom seemed to lean forward slightly, waiting anxiously for whatever was about to happen next. "Tom," Logan spoke calmly into the phone, his voice steady and professional. "It's Logan Morgan." "Yes, about the gala purchase, we'll need to make a change. Find another dealership for the order." Chase's mouth opened slightly in disbelief, the finality of Logan's decision clearly sinking in. His earlier confidence had vanished completely. Several nearby employees visibly reacted, turning to one another, concern etched on their faces. Logan ended the call smoothly, slipping the phone back into his jacket pocket. He looked directly at Chase, finally allowing a slight intensity into his gaze. "You just lost your dealership's biggest sale of the year," Logan said quietly. "Maybe next time you'll reconsider who deserves your respect." Chase stood speechless, the showroom silence amplifying his humiliation. Logan turned back to Eva gently, extending his arm. "Are you ready to go?" Eva nodded, briefly glancing at Chase one last time. She didn't smile, didn't gloat, just calmly took Logan's arm. They turned to leave, the showroom doors opening quietly ahead of them. Everyone watched as Logan and Eva stepped outside, leaving behind a tense, stunned silence. As the doors slid shut behind them, Chase stood frozen, fully realizing his actions had irreversibly changed everything. As the showroom doors closed behind Logan and Eva, silence lingered heavily. Chase remained motionless, his face pale, the full weight of the lost sale sinking in. The following morning, tension filled the dealership. Employees spoke quietly, heads bent close together, voices hushed. Chase stood by his desk, trying to appear composed while nervously glancing at his phone. His phone vibrated suddenly. Chase quickly opened an internal email, eyes widening as he read the contents. His hand trembled slightly. The message was concise. Immediate internal review of customer service standards. Management accountability to be enforced. Chase stared blankly at the screen, realization dawning. He hesitated, then scanned down to the sender's signature, the CEO of the Luxury Car Corporation. Chase's shoulders dropped slightly. He sat down heavily at his desk, visibly shaken. A coworker approached cautiously, quietly asking, "Everything okay?" Chase waved him away without speaking, eyes fixed downward. The showroom door opened. A district supervisor entered briskly, drawing immediate attention. Staff paused their work, following him silently with their eyes. He moved straight to Chase's desk, his expression professionally neutral. "Chase," he began evenly, keeping his voice low yet clear. "We need to talk." Chase swallowed, standing slowly. The supervisor's tone left no doubt about the seriousness of the conversation. The two men stepped into the manager's office, closing the door firmly behind them. Employees watched the closed door carefully, whispering discreetly among themselves. Minutes passed slowly. When the door reopened, Chase emerged looking stunned, unable to meet anyone's eyes. The supervisor followed closely, calmly addressing the employees gathered nearby. Effective immediately, Chase Radford is suspended pending a full investigation into customer interactions and professional conduct standards, he announced. This dealership represents integrity. That expectation applies to every interaction, with every customer. No one spoke, but employees exchanged subtle nods. Some looked relieved, others uncomfortable, but all understood clearly what had happened. Chase quietly gathered a few belongings from his desk and left without making eye contact. Outside, Eva and Logan sat quietly in their parked car, watching Chase walk toward his vehicle. Logan's phone vibrated. He glanced briefly at the message, nodding slightly. The company founder just confirmed. They'll address this dealership's culture immediately, Logan said simply. Eva glanced toward Chase's retreating figure, but said nothing. She watched calmly as he drove away, his departure signaling a tangible change within the dealership. Inside, the atmosphere gradually shifted. Customers who witnessed the confrontation the previous day returned to continue browsing, some speaking quietly among themselves, clearly affected by recent events. A woman approached Eva, hesitating slightly before speaking. "I saw what happened yesterday," she said softly, looking embarrassed. "I wish I had said something. I regret staying quiet." Eva looked at her gently, offering a quiet smile. She didn't lecture or scold. Her silent acknowledgement was enough. "You spoke clearly enough today," Eva said softly, reassuringly. The woman nodded, clearly appreciative, and returned thoughtfully to browsing. Nearby, a younger salesperson approached another customer with renewed attentiveness, clearly mindful of recent events. Logan reached out, taking Eva's hand gently. "You made a difference here," he said quietly. Without anger, without arguments. Just standing firm. Eva nodded slightly, thoughtful. "It wasn't about revenge," Eva replied calmly. "It was about showing everyone that respect matters, always, and for everyone." Logan smiled gently, understanding completely. Around them, quiet conversations began again, this time more genuine, less guarded. Eva glanced once more at the showroom, observing a subtle shift in atmosphere. The supervisor was quietly talking to several salespeople, emphasizing careful attention to customers. Employees listened attentively, clearly understanding the importance of the message. Eva squeezed Logan's hand gently, turning away from the dealership content. She didn't need angry words or loud confrontations to feel validated. Her presence, quiet and firm, had spoken clearly enough. As they drove away, Eva felt calm, not triumphant, simply reassured that integrity still had power. Behind them, the dealership continued to hum gently, newly aware of a vital lesson in respect. Yet even as the day resumed, everyone inside understood clearly. Silence, respect, and dignity had quietly changed everything. A week later, Chase sat alone in a quiet coffee shop, staring blankly at the table. A half-filled cup of coffee had long since cooled. Beside it lay a folder labeled Personnel File and a neatly typed apology letter, still unsigned. He slowly picked up his phone and opened a video clip from the showroom security footage. He watched silently, no sound accompanying the images. Chase observed his own confident, dismissive gestures. Then Eva's calm reaction. The clip showed Logan entering, addressing Eva quietly, then turning decisively toward Chase. Even without audio, the message was clear. Chase felt his stomach tighten again. Chase paused the video on a frame capturing Eva's eyes, looking directly at him. No anger or judgment, just calm certainty. That look haunted him more than any angry confrontation ever could. He set the phone down heavily, exhaling deeply, trying to push away the unease. No one had filed a lawsuit. The media hadn't picked up the story. Yet the consequences felt painfully real. Chase's suspension had quickly spread through industry channels, leaving him uncertain about future employment. He reopened the folder, flipping through documents about training programs, customer service workshops, things he once dismissed as unnecessary. Now, the words on those pages seemed different, heavier somehow. He closed the folder abruptly, frustrated. Glancing around the cafe, he saw other customers chatting quietly, unaware of his internal turmoil. Chase envied their simplicity, wishing briefly for the anonymity he'd once taken for granted. His phone buzzed, startling him slightly. Chase stared at it, hesitant to check the notification. Eventually, curiosity overcame dread, and he tapped the message icon. The screen lit up, revealing an unread text message. "You're invited to the gala." L.M. Chase stared in disbelief, reading the brief words repeatedly. Logan Morgan had personally invited him to the charity gala, an event he'd never imagined attending after everything that happened. He put the phone back down, suddenly restless. His mind raced. Was this some kind of test? A further humiliation? Or perhaps a subtle opportunity for redemption? Chase glanced back at the apology letter on the table, words still carefully arranged but unsent. He picked up the pen beside it, spinning it nervously between his fingers. He knew signing meant admitting fault, something he'd avoided confronting fully. His pride still hesitated, fighting against acceptance. Chase remembered Eva's calm demeanor, her silent strength. She hadn't needed anger or raised voices to challenge him effectively. Somehow, her quiet confidence had made a deeper impact than outrage ever could. He looked around once more. No one noticed his internal struggle. Yet Chase knew that silence didn't erase accountability. What he had done would linger, regardless of public scandal or not. The fear of losing his status, reputation, and future was real and unshakable. Chase finally set the pen down firmly, decision unresolved. He stood up abruptly, leaving payment on the table, and walked toward the exit. The phone still lit up on the table, message clearly visible. "You're invited to the gala." L.M. He hesitated at the door, looking back at the table. For the first time, uncertainty and regret outweighed pride. Chase knew he had a choice to make, and soon. At the gala, soft music played in the background as elegantly dressed guests mingled quietly. Logan stood beside Eva, his hand resting gently on her shoulder, their presence subtly commanding attention without trying. From across the room, the large doors opened silently. Chase entered quietly, dressed simply. No dealership uniform, no name badge. He paused near the entrance, looking around hesitantly, uncertain of his place in this setting. He didn't approach, instead choosing a discreet position near a marble pillar, almost blending into its shadow. Logan noticed Chase first, but didn't speak or signal, simply tightening his gentle grip on Eva's shoulder slightly. Eva followed Logan's gaze, calmly meeting Chase's eyes across the room. Chase, initially hesitant, finally managed a quiet, respectful nod. There was humility in the gesture, acknowledging silently the damage he had caused. Eva paused briefly, carefully holding Chase's gaze. She didn't smile, nor did she show anger. Her expression remained steady and clear, reflecting acceptance without outright forgiveness or resentment. It was enough. The subtle exchange between them was brief, yet meaningful. Chase understood the silent message perfectly. There was no bitterness, but there was also no easy absolution. Guests continued their conversations, unaware of the quiet interaction unfolding nearby. Logan leaned slightly toward Eva, quietly asking if she was comfortable. Eva nodded slowly, her expression calm and thoughtful, reassuring Logan without words. Nearby, a young woman holding a glass of champagne approached Eva cautiously. She'd been observing Eva quietly for a few moments, intrigued by her calm confidence. The young woman spoke softly, a genuine curiosity evident in her voice. "You look like someone who knows their worth," she said simply, offering Eva a warm, respectful smile. Eva regarded her thoughtfully, appreciating the sincerity of her observation. "It took time," Eva replied gently. "But eventually, I realized no one else could define my value except myself." The young woman nodded, clearly moved by Eva's quiet strength. She thanked Eva softly before returning thoughtfully to the gathering, clearly inspired by their brief exchange. From his quiet spot near the pillar, Chase observed the interaction silently. Eva's words resonated deeply, reinforcing the lesson he was still learning painfully. He lowered his gaze thoughtfully, understanding fully that a cycle of ignorance and disrespect had been broken, not through confrontation or anger, but through dignity, respect, and quiet strength. The gala continued around them, the subtle shift barely noticeable, but clearly present. Eva didn't need revenge. She didn't raise her voice or fight back. Instead, she stood quietly, holding her dignity. Her silence spoke clearly enough to unsettle an entire system built on judgments. She proved justice doesn't always shout. It often arrives quietly, remaining long after noise fades. If you've ever been underestimated, judged unfairly, or overlooked simply because of appearances, remember, your story matters too. It deserves to be heard. Subscribe to our channel. Stand with us, share your voice, and remind the world that quiet strength can speak louder than words. Because your story deserves to be seen too.